Okay. I have to laugh because every time we do one of these videos, I get such a kick out of it. I mean, honestly, what would the world be like if suddenly we stopped doing unboxings? Come on, come on. Even our friend, Mr. Frump, last Sunday called in and said he loves our unboxing videos. And if those of you who threaten all kinds of stuff and saying this is childish and so on, continue with that, I will upload more celebrities saying they love unboxing videos. Anyway, as I said, one of these days I'll get around to explaining why we do it. It's not for what you think, but it turned out to be what it is now. Anyway, today we have the Hegel H190v. Now, some of you know, Hegel discontinued their extremely popular H190 integrated amp / streaming device a few months ago. That, at least in our store and according to Hegel, was by far their most popular unit. And certainly in our experience, that's absolutely the case, because you've got all in one box, a unit that is more than powerful enough for most people, 150 watts into 8 ohms, stable down to 2 ohms, lots of inputs, outputs, remote control, home theater bypass, software upgradable, all for, at the time, I think it was about 4,600 Canadian dollars, about roughly 4,000 US dollars. A hell of a buy. As a matter of fact, in the store, we have nothing comparable. And so we sold lots and lots and lots of those. Anyway, Hegel decided they wanted to update it because it had been on the market for a number of years. And the main change that they've done, although they've done some small improvements, the main change they've done is included a moving magnet phono stage. Now again, some of you may know, Hegel about a year ago or so introduced a separate standalone phono stage. And for a company that's never done anything with phono before, it's a spectacular phono stage, like really, really, really good. And for reasonable price, I think about 2,000 Canadian dollars, 1,900 Canadian dollars, something like that. So what they've done is they've scaled that unit into a simpler version and included the moving magnet portion of that phono stage into this unit. Anyway, let me unbox this. I'll talk more about the details in a moment. And then we're going to do a review of this unit, compare it to the 390, which is the big brother, and see what it sounds like in a later video. Anyway, here we go. So, first of all, double box, which is very nice. The cardboard is, I guess, serviceable. It's not ultra thick like, say, a Macintosh or an AccuPhase, but it's certainly serviceable. What I can say is that we've never had any shipping problems from Hegel. So, for what it's worth, it's probably more than enough. Very, very nice thick foam that insulates it from vibrations and overzealous shipping companies. And there it is. Let me turn it around. I'll put it on the shelf over there so we can see what it looks like on the back. That's the box for the remote. And the user manual. Okay, so can you see? They come with the metal remote control. Hegel ships with 2 remotes depending on the model and the price. The lower models, so the 120 and the H95s, come with a plastic remote. This is the metal version. The metal version is very nice and solid. However, I must say, I don't like this as much in the way that the buttons are really small. And as you get older, as I am, it's not so easy to see the text on which buttons are what. Also, all the buttons are the same. They're all the same round buttons. So it's, unless you know what you're pressing, you don't really know. So that's the only thing I don't like about it. Otherwise, in terms of build quality, really good. And of course, your standard power cable. Now, manual, I want to check something just to see if they say anything, and they probably don't. No, they don't. So the one thing I wanted to check was whether Hegel goes into any details about their power output. They specify 150 watts into 8 ohms, and that's it. In the website, they talk about that it's stable down to 2 ohms, but no further details into, for example, what the power output is into 4 ohms or 2 ohms or anything like that. So that's a bit of a shame. I would like to know more. Okay, so that's that. That's the connections for your speaker cables. This is all the digital inputs. So you have coax, 3 optical, 1 USB, and 1 Ethernet. Now, if I remember correctly, what's interesting is that the coax is capable of decoding a higher resolution, 24 bits 192. The Toslink is only up to 96, as well as the USB, which is unusual because typically USB can go higher. But for whatever reason, they've limited it down to 96 kilohertz. And I believe the Ethernet goes up to 192 as well. So anyway, speaker wires here. Nice, well-made speaker connectors. They're sort of a clone of the WBT, so you've got plastic, transparent. And then these are your analog outputs. So Hegel gives you 2 pairs of outputs, one that's fixed and the other one that's a variable. So the fixed one you can connect to a separate amplifier, and then the variable you can hook it up to a subwoofer or 2 if you want. And of course this is your phono, left and right, moving magnet only, and that's the ground. And then finally these are your analog inputs. So you have 2 pairs of RCA and 1 pair of XLR. So pretty straightforward, very simple. Now, this is my main criticism when it comes to Hegel. Nothing else, really. And that is that the only way you can tell what Hegel you're using in the store primarily, at home you know what you bought. But in the store, the only way you know that this is an H190 is that it says here H190. When I turn it around, you'll see it says nothing. And all the Hegels essentially look the same. Now, to be fair, I believe the H95 and the H120 are slightly shorter, so you can sort of tell. But the H120 and the H95, given that they're the same height, you can't tell which is which, at least not easily. And again, in the store environment, this is kind of, would be nice if it was. So what's nice, though, is that they've kept the same minimalist look. This is kind of ironic because on the one hand I say I like the minimalist look. On the other hand, I wish they would just put down over here maybe, you know, H190, and then if they wanted to, they'll say by order of Adrian Lowe, or to pacify Adrian Lowe, you know, or by special decree, you know, His Royal Highness Adrian Lowe. Any one of those will work. All right, now let's get a power cable and connect this up. Okay, so once you plug in the power cable, you'll notice a little white LED over there. The on-off switch is at the bottom here. And then there you go. It's on. You heard the click, so that's the relay turning on. And there you go. Very simple. Here are your inputs. And here's your volume control. Now, you can go into the settings. I haven't read about how to do that yet. It's probably in the remote control, where you can fix the output of the volume. So if you're concerned that you have youngsters, kids, and so on, where they might inadvertently or purposely turn the volume up too high, you can set the max volume of all the different inputs that you want. And also, what's new is, well, let's talk about a couple of the new things. I mentioned the phono stage, the MM, that's new. Hegel also mentions that they've installed a dedicated and improved power supply for the preamp section and the DAC section. So presumably, the previous H190 did not have a dedicated power supply for those sections. At least that's how I read it. any one of these inputs pretty much, or most of the inputs can be set up for home theater bypass. So for those of you who have a surround sound processor, a Denon, a Marantz, or whatever it is, you can set this up so that the power amplifier drives your front speakers, and when it's in the home theater bypass, all the other sections are bypassed. It also has compatibility with Control 4, Crestron, and Savant. So for those of you who have these very sophisticated remote control systems, it'll work with those. It's got a 1/4-inch jack, and apparently it will drive almost any headphone very easily. And then the streamer section. So this is perhaps the thing that I like the most about Hegel. Their integrated amps are literally plug and play. Hook up a pair of speakers and away you go. Once you've connected the Ethernet to it, it's compatible with Spotify, AirPlay 2, Roon, Tidal, Qobuz. It's everything except, I think, tune-in radio. And if you really want that, which sometimes you might, you just have to get an external streamer like a Sonus or whatever you like. And I think that's basically the main features about the unit. So one thing I will say, all jokes aside, I truly, honestly believe that Hegel offers one of the finest values on the market today. It's built well. In fact, we've never had any failures. Not to say that there aren't any, but we've personally, ourselves, never come across any failures within the store or our clients. The stuff always works. They sound great. The bass is dynamic, powerful, very clear. And I'm looking forward to hearing what this sounds like against the 390. Unfortunately, we don't have the 190, the previous version anymore, so I can't do a comparison for you. But the price, that's right. The H190v is $48.99 Canadian. The previous version was $45.99, so a $300 difference. $300 for a really good phono stage, MM especially, in particular, is not a lot of money. Now, if you don't use turntables, then of course you're paying for something you don't need. But if you do, and even if you don't, for under $5,000, although there are certainly lots of choices, NAD, Name, and so on, PS Audio, in my experience, the Hegel will easily stand with any one of them and quite possibly be your choice, especially if you like what it does incredibly well. Anyway, I'm going to do a break-in, and then we'll compare it, and we'll get back to you. Thanks for watching, and again, I would love to really read your comments. Slag me if you want. Why the hell do you do unboxings and so on? The better question is, why the hell are you watching if you are complaining? But for those of you who enjoy this ironic series of unboxing, right below. If you've heard this, by the way, I'd really love to see your comments. This is relatively new. It just came out. I'd love to hear your comments. If you own Hegel, write down, why do you like it? If you've owned it and didn't like it, put it down as well. I'd love to read your comments. All right, we'll talk to you again next time. Take care. Bye-bye.